Hello, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this logo for this video game. It's quite simple. So let's get to it. So first thing you have to do is go to File, New, enter whatever you want for the name, so logo. Um, for the width and height, it really doesn't matter, since I'm just showing you how to make the text itself, and you can implement that into whatever image or project or whatever you want, really. But for now, I'm just gonna go with 720p, which is that. I'm gonna click OK, and now it brings me to a blank page. Now I'm gonna double click the background layer to unlock it, and I'm gonna call it background. I'll call it white background. Okay, so that's my background layer. Now after I unlocked it, notice that if I click the eyeball beside it, it will show the transparent. This is known as the transparent layer. That means there's nothing there. So for example, when you save PNG images, it's transparent. So the background is transparent. Just like GIF or GIF images or animations. Alright, so the first thing you need to do right now is look at this image. Use it as your reference. So I'm gonna go to this layer or this image and drag it into the other one over here. Gonna, yeah, right there. Okay, this is gonna be used as a reference, so we know what we're doing. So obviously, first thing you need to do is make a text. So what I'm gonna say here is logo, or my channel name. No names, lol. That's my channel name. So I have found a font, so sans serif bold, sorry. So now it's kind of too big for our canvas, so we need to make it smaller. So I'm gonna select everything. Right. Just extend it, it will select everything. Or press Ctrl A and then go up here to the size. Notice that you can enter a size manually, or you can choose from the presets, or you can click on the T and you see a small arrow both sides, and if you drag it to the left it will go smaller, and similarly if you drag to the right it will go bigger. So we'll make it to a reasonable size. Click apply, and this is our base layer. Now a quick tip, if you want to center this image. So first thing you need to do is Control A to select, Control A to select everything, and then you go up here. You see this will align it up to the top, center, and the bottom. So we need center, and vertically we need to align it. So as you see, we need a dead center. Now it's dead center. Note, however, now let's deselect. It's going to be centered upon this little pivot. Yeah, it's going to be centered around that, just so you know. Okay, so now we have that. Now we need to change the color of the text to white to match the logo or whatever you want. It really doesn't matter if it's white or not, but to make it very similar, that's what we need. And we're going to go down here to effects, go blending options, and here we're going to be very gentle with it. Alright, so in stroke you need to select the size to 2, inside, normal, opacity all the way, and black. And that's it. That's all you need to do over there. Now notice that the logo itself has shadow, and thanks to Photoshop there's drop shadow. What we need to do now is make it very similar to the original logo, of course. Increase the spread a bit. Size slightly increased, and the distance, just play around with it until you get it. Really, that's really how Photoshop works sometimes. So after you've found the settings that suit you best, click OK. From now, it's gonna be, well, actually, let me rephrase that. First of all, we're gonna duplicate this layer. We'll call the previous one as our text, whoops, text backup, and our new layer is gonna be our or just text for now. We're gonna right click. Actually, before we right click, whoops, we're gonna create a mask. Now, what a mask does, it masks the original layer. So for example, for the eraser, if I get the eraser, for example, and I go to the layer, okay, I can't do that to this layer. But for example, the original logo, if I erase it, it will just get erased. But I can't go back later on unless I have the history for it. But then if I did too many actions, that history is going to be erased. And so to avoid that, we make a mask. What a mask does, see if I make a mask for the original logo, so original logo, if I make a mask for it, and the color is always black or white, and in between grays, of course. If I color over it, it will be removed. However, if I color with the opposite color, which is white, it will come back. So it's always easier and safer than the eraser tool itself, of course. Okay, so back to our text layer. The shadows is too thick, but that's okay because there's two layers. I'll just hide the previous one, which is our backup. Also, it's important to have backups in case you do something wrong. You can delete the new one and go back to the other one, the older one. Okay, so right now I want to go to my mask. I want to select a black brush. I want to go into a brush, brush, and go to settings and go to square brushes. Click OK. Find the size that suits you best. Usually 9 or 10. We can change the size eventually, but for now that's what I'm gonna do. Now I'm clicking Control and Alt and zooming in with the scroll wheel. And when we're at this level, we're good. Now go to Window and make sure that the brush is visible. So F5 for the brush. What we're gonna do here is, you see here, when we rotate the brush, it will change. Actually, if I make it bigger, it'll be easier to see. See, when I rotate the brush, it will rotate the pointy ends. So what I'm trying to get to here, if I do this right now, that's what's gonna happen. So, and for the previous one, there's various sets of angles and stuff like that. So in our brush settings, we're gonna go to Shape Dynamics. Wait, sorry. First of all, the brush itself has to be size 9. Spacing doesn't really matter as much because we're not going to be painting straight lines as much. We're just going to be slightly touching the sides. So the spacing doesn't really matter. Shape Dynamics, we have to go there. We have to put size jitter to 100%. Minimum diameter is 0. Angle jitter, the same thing, 100%. And that's it over there. On scattering, we need to scatter the brushes so that they're not in a straight stream together. So if I increase the scattering, it's gonna scatter them around, obviously. And if I put it both directions, it's also gonna do this, both directions, up and up, vertical and horizontal. Sorry. All right, so I'm gonna put both axes, and I'm just gonna, around there is fine. And you can always test on the layer itself, and that should be fine. Yes. Okay, we're done with brushes. Okay, we're gonna go back to our. We are going to go back to our layer style, and we're gonna put stroke to 1. Yes, and go back now to our mask layer, and go at it, really. Do however you feel this suit, however it suits you. But just like the original logo, it's not too much and it's not too little. It's a touch here and there. So yeah, and see how there's different sizes with the brush because we played with the jitter stuff. If you find it too much, obviously you can make the brush size a little bit smaller too. That also works. And yeah, just go around all the letters in your logo or your text, and just go at it to make it very similar to the original one. A quick note, obviously, just a reminder: if you inverse the color, it will bring it back. And just a tip, just make the size bigger so it's easier to get back what you want to get back. So again, just go over it and go over all the letters and do the same thing. Alright, so I've went over all the letters. I purposely or accidentally overdid it for a reason. Is that note that when you select the brush, select a bigger size than that you were using, and if you select the white color, and you just quickly just go over them, you will notice it eventually looks like the original one, except some small issues you have to get off with to get rid of, obviously. But yeah, it's just that's really how it is. You put as much time as you want, obviously, into it, and how much details you want. But that's really how it is. Now, the next step, we're gonna duplicate the layer. So now we're gonna say, oops, text back up to. So this is gonna back up this text. So every major step you're gonna take, make sure you always back up the one before that. So again, we have our original one, our distorted one, and we have our distorted one again. So we're also just gonna call this text. So after you duplicate that layer, we're gonna click on the effects. We're gonna take off effects, and we're gonna get the brush tool, click on the layer, and it'll ask you, do you want to do this? And we just said, okay. And now again, we right click and we say convert to smart object. After you do that again, click, and it's gonna rasterize the object. And now just a normal layer. The reason I did this is that so I can select this guy with the distortions and make a layer mask. So when you okay, let me do that again. So okay, now I click Control and I click the layer. It selected only the layer itself, not the border around it, only itself. When I click the layer mask, it will make a mask for that selection. So right now, let's say I get a red color. So notice that when I selected red, it showed gray over here. That's because obviously I selected the layer mask, and the layer mask only accepts from white to black and all the grays in between. And so we select the layer itself, we go to red, now we have red. Notice. Because we made a layer mask, now whenever we paint, it's only gonna paint inside that layer. Notice how it is. Alright, at this point, what we need to do is obviously get rid of all whatever we just painted. Sorry, I had brain freeze. Okay, now we're just gonna erase it because all we need is really the layer mask. Don't worry, it's not gone. And so just erase everything. Alright, we're gonna show the previous layer, the text backup to layer. And right now, I did that because I want whenever I paint, it's gonna show on the previous layer, and I'm not gonna affect the previous layer the previous layer no matter what. Alright. Um, at this point we want to make a texture, because if you notice there are random crystallized stuff going on, and that's what we're gonna do. So click on new layer, call it texture, paint it whatever you want. So get the paint bucket and whoops, I made a mistake. For the color, choose gray. Yes, a light gray, and that will be fine. Go to filter, render, fibers, make fibers, randomize, and that's it. We're also gonna go again to filter. Now we're gonna go to Pixelate Crystallize, go to cell size 11, click OK. Again, same thing. We're gonna double crystallize, and we crystallize. What I did was go to filter, crystallize. So it's gonna show the previous filter you just applied on the top here. So if you press it, it's gonna apply the same settings as you applied previously. Now we've done that. At this point, we only want to show this on the layer itself, on the text itself, that layer. So what we're gonna do is go to text layer here. We're gonna drag the mask and we're gonna put it on the texture. Bam. Now we have that. Now for the previous text layer, you can remove that and you can keep it like this and enjoy. But we are gonna make it much similar to the original one. Alright, for backup purposes again, we're gonna back up this layer. We're gonna call it texture backup. Click the eye, hide it, bring it down somewhere, hide it somewhere, and that's it. That's that. And now we're gonna go to blending options, and we're just gonna put darken or multiply, doesn't matter, because we want to show the border or the stroke around it. Alright, so after you chose the blending option to multiply, we want to click the mask again. We're going to make two masks. So the first mask limits the image to the text itself. The second one we can remove from the image in the text itself. I'll demonstrate. So again, go to brush, black, and make sure you selected the new mask layer, and also go over we're gonna go over the letters themselves. So we're gonna increase the brush size a bit, and it depends how you want it really. Again, it's Photoshop, so it doesn't have to be exactly the same. So you can go a bit aggressive at the beginning and take a lot out, and then come back again and slowly add some stuff in, which is usually what I do. It just gives me more freedom. And again, because it's a layer mask, you have all the freedom in the world you want. That's really it, because it's layer masks, and layer masks are amazing. Alright, so I think I went a little too aggressive. That's alright. Or not aggressive at all, because this one so shows. Because if you see the original one, there's barely any in there, but we have more letters, so it's kind of a trade-off. So we're gonna put down the size. We're gonna zoom in. I'm gonna take again a little more at a time, just for the final touches almost. Yes, press space and drag with the mouse. You will see the hand tool, and yes, just keep on doing it until your heart is content. Alright, so I think I'm happy at this point. I just want to do one more thing, which is put down the capacity. So I'm gonna select the layer itself and put down the opacity, just a little bit. Opacity, not capacity, sorry. That should be enough. And I also want to do one more thing. Because we kept a backup of the original layer and we didn't edit the drop shadow and whatever, we can also play with that again. And so we can put down the opacity just a little bit. For the drop shadow, the stroke, it's okay. It doesn't need to be too much affected. Just gonna drop it to 80 almost, and that's it. That's I think okay. Maybe drop shadow a little more. I think so. Um, I think it's very close. It's obviously not identical, and it's not going to be identical because I don't know what font they used, and notice how the S for them is different as to mine. Maybe next time I'll choose a different S, or maybe just choose each letter, or find a font online, like on websites like dafont, dafont.com, or other sites. But yeah, as of obviously for a beginner, it's I think it's a good tutorial. You'll learn some of the basics and you will get stuff done. And I hope you like it and I wish you the best. Have a great day. Make sure to smile.